The incarnation is not limited to Jesus. In other words, Jesus is not the only human that was God in flesh. No, we are all God in flesh. All of humanity is the divine expressing itself, manifesting itself in many different forms. That is the true story of the incarnation. We are all fully human, fully divine. And when you see this, when you get this, when you understand it, it changes everything, because we're no longer talking about some kind of like religious story about God chose one person, one human to incarnate through. No, this is like, we go beyond religion when we experience this, when we understand this, because now everyone is the divine. Everyone is the one manifesting itself in a unique form. You see, that's actually the reality of it. The one, God, Source, Brahman, whatever you want to call it, divided itself up into the many simply for the sake of knowing itself infinitely. And that's the dance of form. There's all these different unique expressions and manifestations of the one, but ultimately, fundamentally, all is one. So separation is an illusion. Albert Einstein said the greatest tragedy of human existence is the illusion of separateness. And this is just what we get into when we start living from the egoic mind. But when we transcend the egoic mind, we start to live from this non-dual awareness, where we see, where we experience that all is one. And when I'm referring to God or the one or source, I'm not referring to some kind of distant deity. I'm not referring to some kind of mega being in the clouds or something like that. No, I'm pointing to, I'm using these words that ultimately all these different words and terms fall short, but I'm pointing to that which is. I'm pointing to the source of all life. I'm pointing to the infinite. And the infinite, all of matter, all of the forces of the universe, like I've been saying, are simply a manifestation of the one, of the infinite. There is no separation. There is no like God in the sky and then he's creating this like universe or this whatever, and there's this big separation and he's up there and we're down here. No, all is Brahman, all is source, all is the infinite. And we're experiencing this dream of Maya, as they say in Hinduism, this illusion of separateness, but that's all it is. It's an illusion. It's not reality. So you can use whatever word that you want, but for me, I think the best word we can use to point to that which is simply love. Love is the essence of our being. This is who we really are, and love is embodying all these different human forms. But when we awaken to who we really are, the true self, which is love, then we can start to see that same true divine essence of love in other beings. And this is something that I think Jesus knew, and I think he was teaching this. He definitely was teaching this in the Gospel of Thomas. If you read the Gospel of Thomas, you know, you pick up on this pretty early in the Gospel, in the book, where you see that Jesus isn't saying that he alone is divine. No, he's saying that we are all divine, and that this human experience, this journey, is all about remembering who we really are. He says in saying 3 of the Gospel of Thomas, "When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that you are children of the living God." So Jesus is pointing his disciples here to recognize the essence of their true nature, and when they see this, when they experience it, everything changes, because they become the light of the world. And like I've talked about in other videos, this light is what illuminates the path for other people to have their own experience of awakening, where they come to know who they really are, and then they start living from that true divine nature, which is love. And even like in the canonical Gospels, we find hints of this in different places, like in the parable in Matthew 25, where Jesus says something like, "Whatever you do to the least of these, the least of my brothers and sisters, you are doing to me." So Jesus is speaking here from this non-dual awareness, from unity consciousness, where all is one, there is no separation, and what you are doing to the other, you're doing to yourself. That's why he says, love your neighbor as yourself. To love your neighbor as yourself is to recognize that your neighbor is yourself. And don't judge or you will be judged. Like, this is all non-dual awareness. This is all unity consciousness. And this is not new to, this isn't, when we read about this in the Gospels, in the canonical Gospels, and in some of the non-canonical Gospels, this is not like the first time anyone has ever realized this or spoken of it, because it's all over the Eastern traditions, especially in Hinduism, where there's this notion of Brahmanatman, which is the infinite source in all things, as all things. Again, the manifestation, the expression of the one in many different forms, but ultimately all is one, all is Brahman. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, he who sees me in all things and all things in me is never truly lost to me, and I am never lost to him, which is essentially the same thing Jesus is saying here in the parable in Matthew 25. What you are doing to the least of these, what you are doing to my brothers and sisters, you are doing to me. Why? Because at the core, beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond space, beyond time, beyond the ego, there's just one of us here. There's just the infinite. There's just source. There's just love. Now that word love that I said, you can replace the word God for love if you want to. I think it's better to do that, because then we start viewing God as a verb instead of a noun, which I think is really good and healthy. But that word love is another word that's pointing to something. What is it pointing to? Well, that word love is the word that we use to point to reality. Love is the recognition and celebration of the unity of being. That's what love is. And that's why whenever we're embodying love, the truth of love, not just as a feeling or an emotion, but the truth of love, when we embody that, there's something within us that just resonates, that just shouts yes. Like, we know that this is our true nature. This is what we were designed for. This is what it is all about. This is reality. And it's amazing how when you're in this state of awareness of being love to the world, embodying love, expressing love, again, the truth of love, which is that divine essence, not just a feeling or an emotion that is impermanent, but this eternal, ineffable expression of love where you are recognizing and celebrating the divine in all beings. It's not just about you. It's not just about you and your religion, you and your group. No, everyone is an expression, is a manifestation of God, a unique manifestation and expression, which makes it even better. But this is what Namaste is all about. Namaste is to recognize and honor the divine essence in each being you encounter. So, yeah, I think this is, when we start talking about the incarnation from this perspective, it really changes everything, because like I said, it's no longer about religion or the doctrines or the creeds. It's about being fully human and recognizing that in being fully human, you are also fully divine, and that divine light is going to shine from within you, and it's going to enable you to see that same divine light hiding within each person you encounter. And as Thomas Merton said, when you see God in everyone, then they see God in you. This is what it's all about. This is the collective shift where we start walking in unity, we start walking in love, we start walking in peace, we start walking in joy, because we're living from the unity of being, and we're seeing the divine in everyone and in everything, because all is a manifestation, an expression of the divine, of God, of one, of source, of whatever you wish to call it. But yeah, this is it. This is what the human experience is all about. It's about remembering that our true nature, our true essence is beyond all these different things we've been programmed to believe. So awakening is not about learning something new. It's about returning home back to source. It's about remembering who you really are. And we see this myth or this archetype in many different movies and many different stories, because this is this constant reminder in this 3D material world, in this human experience. We're constantly being reminded that we're here to experience some kind of curriculum. That's why many call it a school. Many people refer to Earth as Earth School in different spiritual communities, because, and this is something that I think many of the sages and mystics and saints have been knowing for thousands of years. But we come here, we incarnate to learn and to grow and to, most importantly, remember, like I was saying. And so that's why we find it, I think, and we find these hidden messages, these symbols, these myths, these archetypes in many different stories, and like I said, also in movies, where the main character has to remember who they really are, their true nature. And when they do this, when they remember, then they are empowered. And they can be the hero, or they can save the day, or whatever the story is. But that's a common theme that we constantly read about and hear about, because it's pointing to what this life is all about. It's pointing to why we're here, why we incarnated, and what the point is. The point is remembrance, and it's full of rest. So it's not about striving or trying to attain something that we don't already have, some kind of spiritual status, some kind of external salvation. No, it's about remembering. It's about going within. And through meditation, you can experience that you are fundamentally one with everything. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. And you are so much more powerful than you think, because you are inherently divine. And when you allow your divine light, your divine nature, to shine through your human incarnation, that is when you experience the bliss, the peace, the joy, the love of non-duality, of oneness. Because for some people who experience their true divine nature, what ends up happening is they get high on who they really are, and they like stay on top of the mountain in this blissed out state, and they forget that they came here to be human. And so they become almost like addicted to being super spiritual, and they forget about the human experience and the common and the mundane and the ordinary elements of life. And this can turn into like a spiritual egoism. So that's why it's really important to transcend and include, as Ken Wilber says. You integrate the ego, you include your human form and the different roles that you're playing and the responsibilities that you have in this particular incarnation. And through that integration, through that wholeness perspective, you are enabling yourself to awaken more and more to your divinity. So, many people in the spiritual path think that in order to awaken more or whatever, they have to be like more spiritual and less human. But it's actually the other way around. Through your human form, through this vehicle, you can actually awaken much more efficiently and naturally. And there's this ease to it where you are experiencing whatever it is you're experiencing through your human form as part of the Earth School curriculum for your own growth and development. And this is the best way for you to awaken. This is the best way for you to remember. So that's why being authentic is so important. Authenticity is your path. It's the way that you remember the best. You remember who you really are the best by simply being yourself, by being authentic. So don't run from that. Embrace it and let your light shine. Jesus is not the only person that is God in flesh. You are God in flesh. But this divinity in flesh is being expressed in a very unique way. And this is your authenticity. This is your soul. This is what soulful living is all about. Okay, discovering what it is that makes your expression of the divine unique, and then living authentically from that place. So that's what the spiritual journey is really. That's one of the main aspects of it. So yeah, this is An amazing truth. Like I said, it transcends the illusion of separateness. It transcends religion. It transcends us versus them mentality, and we have God and you don't, so you have to join our group or our community or our church or whatever. No, all is Brahman. All is the infinite. And this is the beautiful dance of the human experience, remembering this and rediscovering it and then living from it. And as we live from it, it will express itself as unconditional love and non-judgment. So if you found this video helpful, informative, or insightful, please leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.